Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, we're going to be talking about the Columbia University because obviously they are bending the knee, faltering to Donald Trump because they were allowing a lot of violence, a lot of destruction, a lot of boarding, a lot of chaos happening in their university, in their campus, and Trump wanted to put the end to that, and it has to do with Jews, etc. So we'll be going over that as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, what we have here is from the Daily News. Now, obviously, this is Columbia University faculty sued Trump administration to restore 400 million in funding. Well, this didn't go out very well. Well, we read a little bit of this and get to the actual thing here. It says Columbia University faculty sued the Trump administration on Tuesday to restore $400 million in federal funding withdrawn over anti-Semitism concerns and stop the government from meddling in university affairs. The lawsuit brought by the Faculty Members Union in Manhattan federal court accused several agencies of ignoring the legally required process to terminate funding. Instead, the federal government has revoked contracts and threatened to cancel more to bully Columbia into acquiescing to their demands, faculty alleged. Well, now what we have here is from Fox News. I couldn't find this actual. I think the actual Fox News thing changed its headline, so we're just doing this here. But it says from Fox News, says Columbia University yields to Trump admin, demands over revoked $400 million in federal funding. It says Columbia University has caved into demands from the Trump administration in an effort to restore $400 million in federal funding that was yanked over how the school addresses anti-Semitism on campus. By the Ivy League school agreed to ban masks for the purpose of concealing identity, empower 36 campus police officers with new powers to arrest students, and appoint a senior vice provost with a broad authority to oversee the Department of Middle East, South Asian, and African Studies, as well as the Center for Palestine Studies. The thing is, why do we have Middle East, South Asian, and African and Palestinian studies in the first place? I don't know why we would have these studies at all, personally, because if anything, I would say these are indoctrination studies or departments that you would have here to where you would indoctrinate kids, and a lot of these Palestinian people are coming here for these reasons. So, yeah, I don't know about that one. Says sources familiar with the negotiation told Fox News that meeting the demands doesn't mean that Columbia will get their 400 million in funding back, but that is just a precondition to opening talks. In a letter, Katrina Armstrong, Columbia's interim president, said the agreement outlines the substantive work the university has done over the past academic year. I don't think you guys have done anything. I think in the past year, give or take, we've only seen to where like your students, hundreds of students, by the way, where they were ransacking the campus, blocking things in the campus, honestly taking over the entire campus, starting fights, fighting with police officers, etc. These are not things that you have done that are good, right? These are all things that you have not done substantive work. You have done very bad work. You have allowed people to get injured, discriminated in your own university for the sake of wokeness and Hamas. So I don't know about you, but you are the ones that were promoting and allowing this type of thing to happen. So stop trying to toot your own horn here because you didn't really do anything but cause problems for your entire university. Says the way Columbia and Columbians have portrayed his hard work hard to reckon with. We have challenges, yes, but they do not define us, she said. We teach the brightest, most creative students in the world, and we care deeply for each and every one of them. I have every faith in our ability to overcome the greatest challenges we said recently and brilliant. I don't think you do. I don't think you guys create the brightest and most creative students in the world anymore. I don't think you guys do. I don't think any of these universities do. I think that these universities are leftist and woke propaganda. I don't think they teach anything of substantive usefulness. I think they indoctrinate people. Mostly, it seems to be a very huge thing onto women where you're doing the indoctrination, and it goes on to show that you guys have also allow violence in your campuses. So you're not going to really win anybody over anymore with this because obviously you are lying to everyone when you're saying this. I think a lot of stupid people come from these universities now. I don't think they're smart. I think trade schools are significantly better in every way because obviously, if you guys were actually teaching or running these schools correctly or these campuses correctly, we wouldn't be having this massive problem where people are pretty stupid in this country. Colombia became the epicenter of anti-Israel protests following Hamas' attack on Israel October 7, 2023. Students, outsiders, and faculty members voiced opposition to Israel during the demonstrations that at times resulted in clashes with police and taking over campus buildings. Meanwhile, Jewish students voiced concerns about anti-Semitism on the New York campus, as well as harassment and the disruption of classes and even by protesters. It goes on to say here, earlier this month, the Trump administration revoked $400 million in grants and contracts from the school over its failure to address anti-Semitism on the campus. And this is something I agree with, right? Since October 7th, Jewish students have faced relentless violence, intimidation, and anti-Semitic harassment on their campuses, only to be ignored by those who are supposed to protect them, said Education Secretary Linda McCann said at the time. Now, it's good that we have, the Jews are being protected from anti-Semitism and the racism that they're getting from, well, obviously Palestinian people and a lot of these other people that are here. Because obviously, we haven't noticed, a lot of these people that are coming are from with these visa or whatever are coming from other states or other countries, not states. And it's a problem. But another issue that I have here is because we keep on putting Jews on these really, really high standards. And it's all because of the mere fact that they have suffered through the Holocaust. So now we have to put them on a very, very high standard. And they can't be criticized or ridiculed. And it's bad for doing this. Which doesn't really work well with me. I think that when we have this here, we have a bar, right? We have anti-Semitism that's here. Race against black people is like a little bit higher. And then you have racism against white people is like down below here, right? Like it's below all these things. And there is definitely racism going behind in these schools, in these universities. When people say white privilege, they're not saying it out of the kindness of their hearts or, addressing something. They're obviously demeaning you, right? They don't like white people. They're saying that they hate white people and saying that white privilege is this. And I think white privilege should be used it should be labeled as a discriminatory and racist term. Because these people are not using it, and they're not using it correctly at all. And it's just what I see it. And I think Jews are at a higher standard than honestly, almost sometimes I would say blacks too, but probably not. And that's just asinine. That's asinine. I think Jews should be all the level playing field. White, black, etc. Any type of racism or discriminatory type of things should all be equal in the face of the law, and it should not be something of higher standard, which apparently anti-Semitism is. So I don't like putting Jews on these higher standards than ever. Trump should also have gone after these people for racism towards white people too. That should also be another thing. Universities must comply with all federal anti-discrimination laws if they are going to receive federal funding, she added. For too long, Columbia has abandoned that obligation to Jewish students studying on its campus. Today, we demonstrate to Columbia and other universities that we will not tolerate that are appalling inaction any longer. So, yeah, the university is caving to Trump because he's threatened to remove all their money. And we have this, too, from New York Post saying, Michael Goodwin, cash is king at America's elected universities, and Trump is hitting them where it hurts. Says, screaming the headline was prophetic for Trump's policies shake academic world and may reshape U.S. culture. Goes on to say, my first reaction was, yes, that's the whole point. The president aims to shake up the arrogant, radical university system and save taxpayers' money at the same time. Somebody funny gets it, I thought. Alas, that headline appeared in the New York Times, and writer Alec Banner definitely doesn't get it. His article was drowning in doom and gloom. Goes say, if the president realizes ambitions in many American universities, public and private, and conservative states and liberal ones, could be hollowed out, impairing the backbone of the nation's research endeavors, he wrote. Unfortunately for Blinder and others with a pornographic-like addiction to seeing Trump through the darkest possible lens, their version of Armageddon is a big step closer. Within the articles of the article's publication, Columbia University agreed to all of Trump's demands to protect the civil rights of Jewish students, and others who don't subscribe to the school's hard-left indoctrinations against America and Israel. By also agreeing to ban face masks during demonstrations, give 36 campus police officers the power to arrest students, and appoint a senior official to oversee 2 faculty departments that are hotbeds of anti-Semitism, Columbia presumably gets to keep the $400 million in grants, and a contract Trump threatened to cancel. Money talks. Who knew? Yeah. So at the end of the day, guys, a lot of these things are crazy because, again, these schools are these universities are pushing woke and far leftist propaganda. It also goes down to a bigger issue too, where we have a lot of these other students being from other countries coming into coming into our country and pushing like Hamas terrorist rhetoric, taking over our universities, boarding things up, etc. And this shouldn't be allowed here. If you want to come into our country, fine. But if you're on a visa and you're promoting, if you're doing protests, if you're doing violence in our country, etc., pushing racism, etc., into our country, then yeah, you get the boot. You get the hell out of here. Why? Because we don't need you people in our country if you're going to be promoting violence, terrorist acts, and all these other things in our country, right? We don't need you here. If you're here as a guest, and if you are not going to act like a guest, treat our country with respect, respect our culture, respect our laws, then get out, leave, and go back to the country which you came, and don't come back at least for 10 to 15 years. Because if you are going to come into our country and do all these things, then I suspect that you're here to respect it. And if you're not here, then by all means, goodbye. Leave. Get deported for all I care. We don't need you people in our country. We don't need Hamas people in our country, quite honestly. I do not want you people here. Leave. Stay out. And until then, you learn to respect the laws, then yeah, that's the way it is. So, guys, that's it for the video. Let's guys share. As always, take care, my friends.